good, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Let's Be Honest podcast with your humble host, Tone DeShields, and I'm eternally grateful. Thank y'all for coming back. Thank y'all for locking in. And most importantly, thank y'all for just being y'all, because the podcast is nothing without the amazing people that tune in every week. But, as you guys can see, and for those of y'all that are listening through audio, y'all going to eventually hear that I have a very, very, very special guest. As always, a friend of mine from back in the day.
Yes, sir.
Me and this guy go way back from high school, freshman year. My man Daniel Cherry L. How you been, my brother? It's been what? It's 2020 now. So you left Saul what year? I can't remember.
12. I left my 11th grade year.
Okay, yeah. So shit, it's been about 5 years since me and you really linked up and really sat and was able to really.
Yeah, good 5.
You know,
longer than that, because 3 years after college, brother. We talking 7.
Yeah.
7, 8. Woo! Look at Tom Hall fly.
Almost a decade. Almost a decade.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Damn. One of the things I do with this podcast, I try to really I try to bring on not just people that are doing creative things like, you know, be it music, be it art, or you know, not even just limited to entrepreneurship, but I also like to bring on unconventional thinkers. You know, you dig what you dig, like thinkers who want to go against the grain, people that aren't willing to remain plugged in the matrix.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But first and foremost, before we even get into the nitty gritty of our conversation, because I got a feeling this is gonna be a good one, a challenging one, even for myself. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, how, just in totality, how have you been, man? Like, just get the people just a synopsis of, you know, how life's been for Mr. Daniel Cherry L.
Life has been amazing. I would say, like, listen, when you embark in these teachings, by the Holy Prophet, long story short.
And make sure, real quick, not to cut you off, make sure you speak up so people can hear you. I want to make sure they catch all your jewels, bro.
So I'm gonna say like this. I've been spiritual my whole life, you'll say, right? Not necessarily religious. I grew up Christian. I would say that this particular relationship, because that's the etymology of religion, relationship that I have with God now, it's much different. It's much more personal. It's you can actually hear the voice. So when I get off the track or deviate from what I need to be doing or focus, it's much easier to get back on the right path. This is Islamism. There's a slight difference, but not really. It's the same God, Allah, same 5 principles: love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. We just men come through God in ceremonies and forms. So our ceremonies and forms is maybe a little bit different than the unconventional. But besides all that, with those different teachings and stuff like that, me learning about myself and truly acknowledge yourself. You remember back when we was in Saul, you know what I mean? I didn't got locked up and whatnot. I didn't have troubles.
Yeah. How can I put it? History wasn't always kind to you, my brother.
Nah, man. So I've been locked up a couple times, man, and praise Allah. So I'm humbly and grateful, because once you truly know who you are, you know how to maneuver, you know, within multiple systems, between school systems, work, outside, dealing with the so-called cops and just people that's supposed to be in authority and whatnot. You know, I come from being in all the different police vehicles, man, and, you know, to get to the point that you can wave a cop down, and because you know who you are, and knowing that with the feds symbolized universally and even in this country to wear that national free religious headdress, they know that they can trust you and they can assist you without no issues, and you're actually a citizen, so they treat you like one. You know what I mean? Your taxes you see your taxes work for you, you know, because I've had that feeling of being targeted. You know, I even went to college. I even got locked up when I was in college. Let's just be truthful. Yeah. Not in a fight in the midst. What happened was, it was during Thanksgiving break, and I was driving with my 2 homegirls, twins, from DC. I wasn't want to say shout out to so and so, but my brain went. Sometimes I forget names. I see your face, but I forget the name. Sorry.
You good.
Yeah, but
I'm the same way sometimes. You good.
But yeah, I got locked up because these girls. All I had was a blunt. You heard me? I had a blunt. I got locked up in Georgia. It was Durham, Georgia. Very prejudiced, very racist. It's basically that chain gang still type feeling over there. But I got locked up in Durham. They was both being sleep fried. I'm trying to wake them up, like, yo, pass me the blunt spray. They couldn't pass it. They had a quarter on them. I just had a blunt on me, but I had to spend $750 just to get out that night. Then on top of that, I had to spend an extra $25 just for a lawyer. Just for a lawyer, don't even know what the heck he even talking about, because how I presented myself, and I was crispy, like fresh casket, ready to die. My lawyer was looking like he had some plaid shirt on. I had a real 3-piece suit looking crispy with the blue suit with the red tie.
You came to fight for your freedom.
Yeah,
man.
the judge looked at me, he's like, "You the lawyer?" You're like, no, this one. He's like, "Oh man, nah, bro, you good. Listen, I'm gonna just let you go for disorderly conduct and local ordinance." I just had to pay a $1,200 fine. I was on probation, but I ain't had a piss test. I ain't do nothing. I was able to finish graduate.
No fingerprint, none of that.
None of that.
That's a blessing.
None of that.
That's a blessing because.
No, he did fingerprint me. That's
Okay.
the only thing when you look me up. This is very hilarious. Out of all the things I've ever done in my life, when you look me up in the FBI system, they would say that's the only case, and that's when I was in college and dealing with Durham, Georgia.
That's
But it's funny.
That's a wild story. Because I had similar stories like when I was in school.
Mm-hmm.
Getting in trouble with the law, weed.
Mm-hmm.
You know the motions of college.
Yeah.
You with the homies, y'all doing a little too much.
Come with the territory, right?
They come with it, and I ended up having to pay. It was so crazy. When we went to the magistrate, we told him, we kept it real transparent. We said, listen, we college students. We don't just have this money just offhand.
Right.
He said, well, listen, I'm not chasing your college students for money. So we need this X amount of money by this time today. I'll see y'all later on.
Wow.
We like, whoa.
Right.
By this time, my parents really don't know what's going on.
Right.
And it was one of the spookiest things I've ever been a part of. I called my dad. One of the hardest conversations
Yes, sir.
I've had to have ever, because your parents, and you talk a lot about, right, what I noticed, in your language and how you talk a lot about identity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you spoke about college. When you went to when you graduated from college, you graduated with your bachelor's in.
So all right, because I was taking 2 majors.
Okay.
At once. I'm 3 credits from getting my bachelor's in business. I'm 6 credits or 6 classes from my in psychology. So it was business with minor in psych, but I ended up leaving with liberal studies.
Okay, you got your bachelor's in liberal studies. So just having that degree, having that piece of paper, do you feel like it makes a difference for you? Do you feel like it makes a difference for your identity and how you move?
Nah, nationality do more. I mean, granted, everybody has a certain charisma in how they move themselves. Some people have a certain, you call it the oomph or the it factor. It all depends how you move, your vernacular, your demeanor as you speak and whatnot. But I will say that the difference between then, I felt like I was doing too much just to get where I fit in.
Okay.
Now where I'm at in life, it's like, yo, I realize when I apply for something, I get it. I get into a place, they got a conversation, I could just look like this. This is not my best fit. I usually would really throw something nice. So it's just like, back then I feel like I was doing too much. Granted, there's nothing wrong with looking nice, but sometimes you have a complex where you put a mask on, like, oh, I gotta do all this, and that, and the third. Overcompensating. You ain't gotta do that. You gotta realize that you're it and know that you are what they want. And just like, so if I ever went to a job, that's just how I started approaching, especially when I had my feds on. Like, every job interview I ever went to, since I've been a Moorish American and realized who I am, my identity and stuff like that, I get literally whatever I want. The battle is staying consistent, because when you're in constant, misery starts to follow. So the inconsistency within your own thoughts, words and deeds, your behaviors and whatnot. So it's just like that beautiful holy book, the Moorish Science of America, Circle 7 Quran, like prepared by Noble Prophet Jur Ali, is because that's Prophet Jesus when he said, I'm gonna come with a new name. Even when they describe it in the Bible, he said he had bronze, you know what I'm saying, bronze, woolly hair, bronze. So no matter what, those are attributes and features of the original man. Then on top of that, I mean, besides him coming with a new name, do you know why it's constantly throughout the Bible? It says about, I think I counted 18 times. It talks about lack of knowledge will be the death of you. What is it?
And I'm still making my way through the Bible. It's so crazy. My lady got me, taking my time and trying to, learn the Bible and read through it and really understand it. Because I'll be, I'll be transparent on this podcast. I'm a layman when it comes to all the teachings and all the words and scriptures of the Bible. I'm personally a layman. I consider myself a man of faith, though, a man of spirituality. I believe in God and Jesus Christ. You feel me? So
you say God is Jesus Christ?
No, I believe in God and Jesus Christ.
Okay.
So just knowing that about myself, I know for a fact I need to put in more work in just knowing more about the book. But yeah, go on.
No, you good. So for example, if everybody want to know, this is what the book look like, the Holy Quran, Moorish Science of America. This book right here.
And that's not the Quran with the Q. That's the
Quran with the K. This isn't said necessarily nor the Moorish Science of America, but the acronym supposedly for Quran is knowledge, order, rhythm, astrology, and nature.
Okay.
So you're dealing with science. That's why it's called the Moorish Science of America. Everything is technically science. A lot of people, what they do in religion, original religions, they practice the way they practice is because this thing is no matter what is going to happen. So you go with the things as naturally what it is. As for example, a lot of people like to say Egypt, they had multiple gods. No, they didn't. They did something what they call animism. Animism is meaning that you can see God in every single thing. I can see God in that toad. I can see God in that crow, that hawk, that bird, that snake.
God is everywhere.
God is everywhere. And each of those particular animals have a certain nature about them. But at the same time, us as people, we have the exact same abilities all up in us. That's the difference is that all the creations that the Almighty has created is technically already within us. It's up to you to figure out and to move in a manner of knowing who you are. Because if God gave Adam the ordinance to name everything, it's no way in the world you don't have the power to attain everything. It works hand in hand. So this is right here. It's a book of spirit, and every word this is in here is just uttering spirit, and it's just like this is the 18 years of Jesus missing in the Bible. I don't know too many people ever thought about that, but me growing up Christian, most of the time in Christianity teach us to look at Jesus like he's God. In the scriptures that Jesus told you, I ain't God. But we was taught that way. So knowing that he goes from 12, disappeared, he 33, now he on the cross, that's something wrong there. Where you want me to look at him like he's God?
Because me personally, I've always, it's interesting. There's this narrative out there surrounding Christianity that, and this is just my humble opinion. What I say is not law, people. But there's this narrative, in my opinion, that when you question or speak to certain members that walk the Christian faith, when you ask them certain questions about certain things, they take it as a slight.
Yeah.
They take it as an angle of disrespect, or how could you ever go against the word of God and Jesus Christ? And I'm like, that's not what I'm doing. I'm simply trying to exercise the free will God gave me, and that is simply just asking questions, wanting to know more, wanting to know more about self. But like I said, self is a constant narrative in the way you speak. How did you even discover or even come across the more ethnicity or identity? How did you come across that?
Oh man, funny story. So dealing with dunya meaning the world, the cares of the world. Just the Bible say of the world. It's just literally just worldly things. I was fresh out of college. I had a little girl I was talking to, a little lady friend, girl, and I ended up getting locked up in Jersey for DUI, man. And
your story vicious.
Yeah, bro. I have stories for days, bro. I do. Like, if somebody asks me, and I actually dig in his brain, I'm like, wow, I do have something to tell you. How did I arrive to this? Long story short, we partied in Philly. My brother was the manager at the club, so I was able to drink whatever I wanted. I didn't get a DUI when I was in college, so me getting a DUI in that particular present then wasn't gonna happen either. I've had people represent me in court, but not well. Supposed to be a lawyer, so I said, forget him. I'm gonna present myself. So I had fought the case for 9 months. They end up dropping it because when you look at my driving record, it's clean. They would just say about the joint up at Derby that time when a cop tried to get me for a stop and roll, knowing that I was driving for a lift. I've been through a lot of just like races. Like, it's a lot of things that brought me to this understanding. It's like, so when dealing with the cop, he pulled me over. Let's stick with Jersey first.
Okay.
I got pulled over. 3 cops came. The girl that was in the car, my lady friend, she was drunk as a skunk. The cop said, I pulled you over because you swerved or something like that.
and your lights was off. I said, well, sir, the lights wasn't off. It must be a shortage. No, I wake her up. She literally tells me there's a shortage in my lights. I'm like, how dare you? I'm in Jersey. Mind you, pray to God I didn't have no liquor on me, no weed on me, had nothing. I didn't have a lighter on me. That's what I was doing with racist. Cop asked me to do all this crazy stuff, put 1 foot here, 1 foot there, walking like this, walking like that. Next thing you know, I'm getting locked up. Next thing you know, I'm in Jersey, Pennsauken, and next thing you know, I don't know what the sergeant name is anymore. I gotta look at the old court document, but that's here nor there. He out here talking to me, like when I'm speaking to him, like I'm talking about legalese now. I'm knowing, like, first of all, you can't treat me like this, you can't make me do this, you can't make me do that. And he like, what, you a lawyer or something? I don't know, I can't remember if I said yeah, but I know he was nervous because he tried to cock his hand back and try to punch me because I wasn't trying to talk about nothing. I said I negate all comments, questions, concerns. That means I didn't get, that's not negative. Negating you mean I just ignored. Ignoring somebody don't mean negative, and not even that. Who are you to say right now, I gotta give you this? This is my time. I didn't ask you to come get me. You chose to do that. So who told you to use your time to embark in my time and tell me now I got time? You don't have that privilege. Who are you to take that away from me? I said another thing to a light, and it's something called corpus delicti, meaning there's a physical body.
You said corpus delicti?
Yeah, it means corpus delicti, meaning a body or some physical evidence of something happening. This young lady not hurt. You can't prove about what you talked about.
In other words, probable cause.
Yeah, like true probable cause. What happened? Yo, the lights, and not even that. I said, bro, I'm not from Jersey, I'm from Philly. And I got pulled over 2 minutes from dropping her off. That's why I was so upset, bro.
Damn.
Literally.
You just dropped her off and all of a sudden.
No, I was 2 minutes
from
dropping her off.
Wow.
And I said, yo, I was gonna drop her off, I was gonna catch the Uber to the crib. And it probably would cost me like $50. I was just trying to have a little fun. Boom, boom, boom. I said I could have been a nut. I could have left the girl in the alleyway. I could have took her car. I could have did her dirty. She don't really know me. I don't really know her. I ain't even gonna lie. Let's be very transparent. She was a Tinder swipe. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Make it funny.
My
make
bad,
it funny.
man.
No. You got to. I said just make it funny. So let's make the story a little. Sometimes the story like, wow, that was dramatic. Well, let's make it funny. All over a Tinder swipe. So you know what I mean?
All over
Tinder swipe, brother. That's why I like to stay off them social
media apps. Tinder kids.
Yo, Tinder, Tag, all that.
Bumble.
POF. What else they got?
I don't go.
Had them all. Listen. Let's talk about the past. Badu. You said Bumble. Yeah.
I had a POF experience. I had a couple weird experiences.
What's I think that's the ones I've ever even probably tried. There's a whole bunch of them, but I ain't getting all that because I ain't never tried the Jones. But yeah, it's be normal. Pray. Know that religion is the etymology of your relationship with God. Someone say I ain't religious. No, you are. Do you believe in God? Do you have a relationship with God? That's all it is. We think that's something outside of us. So that right there brought me, mind you said, my name Dan. If you look in the Bible, he fought in the courts. He fought for truth. Freedom. Somebody's trying to say, yo, this way is right. When I know that it is wrong. In my spirit, I'm like, I'm seeing you doing me wrong. You trying to piss on me, telling me it's raining. You trying to force me to sign stuff. You trying to lie about what I said. And you trying to actually fight me or physically be aggressive towards me because I know who I am.
Physically impose your will on me.
Yeah, because I know who I am. Or at least I was arriving to
that point. Because at that point you weren't.
I wasn't fully there. I just knew I was being wronged.
Okay.
That was it. It was just my spirit.
You had enough knowledge of yourself to know I don't deserve this at this moment.
Yeah, this is just utterly crazy. Like I told him, I said, bro, I was gonna get a DR. We got that joint back in college. I was drunk. Bro, I drove drunk from Orlando all the way to Daytona because my school's in Daytona. It's 45-minute drive. Mind you, blended out, drunk. Like I don't get that no more. But back in those days.
Yeah, you was living reckless a little bit.
Living reckless. So now I come back home all of a sudden. Oh, DUI. Stop, bro. I got a whole degree. And I didn't even have my degree for 6 months yet, bro. I got a DUI. Matter of fact, let me tell you, I remember the exact date because I didn't realize it until like 3 days later. And I looked at the date. It was like, no wonder how I got to. I really couldn't really fight it. I got caught up in Cinco de Mayo. I didn't realize it was that day. That is DUI day for America.
Wow. I never knew that. I didn't realize Cinco de Mayo. I mean, of course, you got white people that celebrate it. They know what they're
Europeans, they get over there for them.
But Cinco de Mayo, I didn't know that was.
Yeah, that's you can look it up on Google. That is DUI capital. That's the day.
Wow.
Cinco de Mayo, because that is a holiday to drink. They're promoting just drinking only. Okay. 4th of July will be for celebration. They'll party. They'll do this. They'll just happily to drink. That might be a part of the result. No, Cinco de Mayo is dedicated.
Isn't it interesting how they'll go heavy on the DUIs on because Cinco de Mayo is a Mexican holiday, right?
Yes.
It's funny how the law will go full force, go full gung ho on DUIs on a Mexican holiday, but then when you have hundreds of thousands of Europeans leaving from, who knows, it could be St. Patrick's Day, or leaving just from a sporting event, right? And you know, black people go to sporting events too. All races go to sporting events, but we all know mainly white people can afford those seats and those tickets, right? Okay. So just by that logic, what I'm saying is, I think it's interesting how the law on a Mexican holiday, they go full force on DUIs, but when you see all these white people leaving these bars or these stadiums, or even cops leaving cop bars, they don't get DUIs. They be drunk as a skunk.
You know why? Because you gotta understand, this is the reason why I said we gotta be careful why I have to call them white people. White means purity, purity means God, God's been ruled the lands. Unfortunately,
wait, say that one more time so everybody can hear you. You said white. Say that one more time.
White means purity, purity means God, God means ruler of the land. So when you look up the census again, I believe I have the paper here. We're gonna get into that, but in dealing with that, and dealing with the census, that label white, it will mention 4 African countries, but Northern African countries. Then it will name a whole lot of 4 European nations. Within white, they'll mention Morocco, they'll mention Iraq, they'll mention Lebanese or Lebanon, whatever you call it. It's certain ones. But that's in Africa. How could you be white? But when they put black, they put African American, black, Nigerian, this is then a third. Reason why when you go to Philly and Southwest and stuff, the Africans or certain they control that is because they got nationality. And nationality means that you're loyal. Black people, this resident don't exist. We don't have loyalty. Where's your loyalty? That's the reason why we get the way we are in this position.
Is that the reason why? Let's just say, for example, if a Japanese person commit a crime in America, they can potentially be deported, right? Black people, on the other hand, we commit a crime on American soil, we have nowhere to be deported to. Therefore, we get put in prison.
See how that works? This is the reason why you can't get reparations. What nation you belong to? Who can you go back to? That's why you can't be African American.
And they stripped that from us.
Yeah, that's what nationality is. That's what makes you 3/5 of a man. They took your nationality and your divine creed. Every place, no matter what, has a divine creed. They believe there was a prophet. There was somebody that came to bring them some type of way of life for those people, for whatever side of the country or where they at. And when that's been taken away from you, that's why it's not that Jesus is wrong. It's not that Christianity is necessarily wrong. How it was told to you was definitely wrong.
And that's what I was about to say, because a lot of people, and this is all on social media, right? And you know social media is not real life. But I like to sometimes peek in the comment section.
Okay.
And you find people who go the route of, y'all talking about black liberation, y'all still practicing, you know, the white man religion or whatever, or the devil's religion or so on and so forth. And my response to that is, oh my bad, they'll say you're practicing the religion of slaves, or the you know you're practicing what they taught you as slaves. So how can you talk black liberation, right? My retort to that is, it's not Christianity that's evil per se. It's those who are weaponizing Christianity to fit the narrative they've constructed. You follow me?
Yeah, that's true. I can concur on that as well. In addition, or I would say to camel walk on that, Christianity isn't for us though.
Okay.
Even when we look up, let's look at the etymology of Christ. Christ means to be anointed. So that's how you know Jesus wasn't the only prophet. Before they called him Jesus in the Old Testament, they called him Christ. Muhammad was Christ. Buddha was Christ. Confucius was Christ. They had a higher conscience to elevate you to God. That's what Christ means. That's why they say, when you go to church, they put the little oil on thing, they anoint you, they put it right here, your third chakra, your 7. Why would they do that? In the Revelation, they talk about the 7 chakras and whatnot. They talk about the 7 jewels and whatnot that's going to be on the new church and stuff like that. Everything is symbolic. Jesus speaks a lot in parables. What it is that,
I noticed that reading the Bible, it's a lot of metaphor, a lot of parables, a lot of analogy, and
you feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's why it's not to be taken literal. So Hiblios Biblios is really talking about the story of the stars. The dealing with the different times, the eons when people was around, what's going on, different prophets and whatnot. But in dealing with that, Christianity was made for.
Because isn't that the oldest religion? Christianity?
Hinduism.
Hinduism.
Yeah, we go way back Sanskrit. Like this, like Christianity's the baby. or no, Islam. They say Islam is the baby, but like I said, the Moorish science of America, we practice Islamism. Is that the new or that's the old time religion? It's the old time.
Okay, so at what point? Because you mentioned that before. At what point? Because you said we're not too far off from what your traditional Muslim practices, right?
Yeah.
So at what point does Moorish Islam and I guess traditional Islam, at what point do they veer off?
Well, there's I'm not mistaken, and Muslims don't kill me to chastise me. You feel what I'm saying? I believe they say it's about 77 to like 99 sects of Islam.
Sex?
Yeah, so it's like denominations, and just like Christianity.
Got you. Meaning like Methodists or evangelists or
everybody practice different.
Got you.
Same God, same thing. We just practice different. The Moorish science temple was established in America in 1913. Islam, to be able to say God or practice Islamic faith, was established 1928, July 20th. After that comes the Nation of Islam and other places, or other groups. What it is that the Nation of Islam, what they practice, it's more so traditional as far as like on the East. The Moorish science symbol of America, we practice it.
The East being
Mecca, how do you might pray over there, like Sunni Muslim, can't think of another sect right now, but that way of practicing is more what you want to say, submissive towards the body. Ours is submissive towards the mind, body, and soul.
okay.
The body follows through thoughts, words. The body moves on the deeds. Ours is more so dealing with strictly science, and the reason why we don't mix a lot on the ground, it's not that it's wrong. You can.
Salat is prayer.
Salat is prayer. Reason why we don't do it, we're the only people in the world that don't know ourselves. We've been beat down, our religion been taken away from us, and our nationality. That's why we keep calling ourselves stuff that we're the only people that's been named. China always been China for the most part. No, my bad, this is how you know I'm original. America is the only country in the world for the most part never changed its name. It just switched up how it's spelled. America's always been America. Even African got changed a couple times. When it comes to us and being as people in this country, we don't know our true identity. This is the reason why people, they come and able to do and tell us whatever they want. And we just be like, oh, all right, Everybody has nationality, so that's the reason why you become Spanish folks. They have a certain loyalty and they move, and no matter what, when they hungry, the whole block eat. They don't stunt on their people. We'll try to stunt on their people, and the person down the block don't eat. We're not thinking properly. This is all slave mentality. That's what I said. There's no difference between a house nigga and a field nigga. You still nigga. Excuse my language. That's radical speaking. That's radical. You should not be saying those words. But this is why we have to look at ourselves like, oh, what are we? Who are we? A lot of times people respond, we're a child of God. Yes, we are children of God. Yes.
I think that's the easy answer.
That's the easy answer. But if you ever got to go to court, or if you're ever in a life or death situation, somebody asks you who you are, you say I'm a human. That's not gonna work. Somebody say, oh, I'm a spirit in this physical experience. That's not gonna work. Those are all factual things what you're saying, but that's not the answer. There is actually an answer. It's like a spell or something that you say. That door won't open until you speak the language that's gonna open the door. Just because you might think of it in a way of like, oh, I'm coming with a positive intent. I don't have any militia in me. I'm not coming like this. Truth is truth. The age of Aquarius, or the age we're in now, the reason why things is going on, because we're dealing with truth. And when you're dealing with truth, if you look in the scriptures, it say to deny truth is to deny God. Thus, I will have to deny you. Just the reason why what's going on. You can't be black. We're the only people keep calling ourselves black. The Constitution say, look, black, Dred Scott, 1856. Law schools, they celebrate this. When you call yourself something in law that equates you to be less than a person, and you just like, well, I'm still a good person though, you now, not only you denied your actual physical existence, but you deny your spiritual existence as well. All through the Bible talks about the marvelous light, but you call yourself black. Isn't it the opposite of light? And if when you read a paper, it told you, say, yo, if you call yourself black, you are legally a slave. And even the Constitution, when you read it, I'm not mistaken, what was it? Things like what? Amendment 14? It talks about basically that, yo, the 13th Amendment, even if, 13th, even if you call yourself black, the moment you got locked up, it constituted you to be a slave again. When you get locked up, the Constitution tells you are a slave.
Right. 13th.
13th. But when you call yourself black, it's double the slave. Because you labeled yourself a slave already. That's why Dred Scott, that's why his family didn't go free. And he said, anybody, your names or offspring, shall never receive freedom. And on top of that, do you know why black lives don't matter? And no disrespect, y'all, just hear me out. We never created a body of politics. After all these years, never created a body of politics.
Essentially our own political party.
Yes. Even though it will only matter to a certain extent, because in law it says that you're not a citizen, but however, you could have worked together and had something for yourself. Through the midst of the COVID and even the rioting and the marching, protesting, the LGBT community, I have no problem with gay people. I have gay friends, I love them. And I'm not scared to be cliche. People are people at the end of the day. What you do is what you do. Praise the law. They got a bill passed from that. It's legal now to be gay. It's legal.
Right.
So how is that a people? They're just people, regardless of race, gender, nationality. They do what they do, but they are, whatever suffering, whatever they are, such to a common goal. They can work together, put money together, and have Congress pass laws through the midst of darkness, a crazy, whatever you want to call it. But we got to take a step back and humble ourselves. Like, yo, we can't be black lives could matter. And then too, if you look at the movement, you got to figure out who actually created Black Lives Matter. It wasn't an Asiatic, it wasn't a Moor, it was a European. So when you move on certain agendas, when you follow someone without doing your research and you say that, it's like you're disrespecting your ancestors. They didn't really know that back then. What's the difference between them now? What is the biggest thing our people are doing now that we wish we could do? No. That we're not doing now that we wish we could do, that we even died for. Forget the whole freedom part. Reading. Just to read. We don't even read.
Knowledge, seeking knowledge.
And that is the death of you. And to be God's chosen people, a lot of things too, I realize our people, we love to say we God's chosen people. Oh, I'm this, I'm a Hebrew Israelite, I'm a Jew, this and that. Yo, that's actual facts. It's a lot of things that will prove that. Facts, even in Moorish science, you get in our Holy Quran and Moorish science too, it's going to show you stuff like that. However, until you take that full really step to really know how you are and act accordingly, the world ain't never going to respect you. The cops ain't never going to respect you. And even when necessarily when it come to even when it comes down to the end, there's a problem. God even have a problem with that. We the only people on earth that's been calling themselves something that don't even exist. We don't go by colors.
That's the biggest problem.
That's the biggest problem.
That's my biggest problem with our community. It's just the lack of initiative to seek knowledge of self. I was talking to my brothers, and I'm always trying to keep my brothers sharp. I'm always picking their brains. I'm always challenging them, so on and so forth, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the biggest things I tell them, I said, above all things, before you know how to play that game or do this, or before you know how to dribble that basketball, or before you know anything, know self, know what you're worth, know where you come from. Try to do your best to filter through the flawed history. And I think that's another thing that one of the largest detriments to our community. Not just the lack of initiative to find self or discover self, the lack of resources, and the, I guess you would say, the deficiencies in the education system.
Can I answer that?
Definitely.
So this is when I'm telling my people, all right, if black was it, right? Because we always ask, why do the Europeans got better neighborhoods than us and this and that, right?
We're all paying the same taxes, it seems like.
Because the census. The census lets the government know who gets money. Black people don't get money because they're not citizens.
All right, break that down. Because off air, we was talking about the census and its true value. And again, y'all, I'm very transparent about my knowledge and lack thereof. I try to be very transparent and humble about that, right? I didn't realize the true power of the census until we had our conversation, but go ahead. Just wanted to preface that.
The census are designed to know family names, because nations, even in the Bible, they go by families, right? To go by nationality, because nationality is the only thing that the government respects or look at you as an actual citizen. And where your taxes go amongst people and nationality. It was set up in a certain way so it can make in the playing field, even in the sense that the monies can be the money can be distributed to all those who know how to get the money for real. The reason why they have swimming pools in European neighborhoods, tennis courts, golf, business, education, taxes, because they're taxes. Census. Everything dealing with the census are all, it's going to mention European, but also about 10 to 15 African countries, but certain ones. But when you say black, it separates into, talk about the African Americans, so-called black people, then it goes Nigerian, Jamaican, start to bring them all down. But even all those people that they mentioned dealing with black, they all got their own communities and their own stories, they own something. But the people, the first ones they speak of, supposed to be at this country black, don't really own much, don't have this, don't have that. The reason why you don't see African people or any other people from other different countries that are Moors just like us or melanated just like us, they don't have issues because they're giving up nationality for something. So the government gonna give them something. They're gonna give them a loan. How can I give you a loan? You're a slave. What do you own? I own you. What?
Exactly.
That don't make sense. So when you're dealing with black, and if the government, it says in the government, even to let's get into legalese, Black Laws Dictionary. Black, according to law, means pale.
Black, according to the law,
means pale.
Means pale.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean? How does that make sense?
Do you know why Europeans? And this is not radical. I'm talking truth right now. Just when it comes like this, and we're not talking about groups. We're talking about just a conglomerate of folks. You know why Europeans call you black? Because they're really black. There's something called this might be a little radical. You could probably, I don't know, edit this out if you want to, but something called the troglodyte nigger.
Okay.
It's basically like the original caveman. The nomad, not the nomadic man. What do you call them? The Neanderthal. They had tails. Their hair is more like fur than necessarily like hair. It's the reason why they necessarily will put animals over. It's just a certain science behind that. So the reason why, first of all, too, was that
what was that?
The Darwin theory.
You said it's called the what? The what nigger? The
Troglodyte.
The troglodyte. Troglodyte nigger. Okay.
Troglodyte nigger. Darwin theory. That theory was made of evolution to confuse the mind. Why would God allow us to become a tadpole to man when He gave man the ordinance to name things? You see how that's told weird?
Run that back.
I said, how can man come from a tadpole and become whole when God made man whole to name every living thing?
So from primate to man, like
how we go from backwards? It's because due to genetics, who is who and what is what. They called you a nigger because at the end of the day, they were literally pale. They call you colored because before they pass, they become every single color in a crayon box. They become pink, they become orange, they become green, they become purple. They're not breathing. When they die, change color. So if I call you a color, I'm not respecting you as not only just a human, but as an actual person, a living being, actually come from a family. So color means anything stained, dyed, or varnished. You was born this way. You're not stained, dyed, or varnished.
Mm-hmm.
Why do Europeans get tattoos? So they can get stained, dyed, or varnished. Let me add some color to me. Let me add some excitement to me. So if I keep calling you all these different colors, if I keep calling you black, I'm calling you every single thing that you are not. But because you don't know who you are, you're just going to stick to it. The only thing they call white people is keep calling them white. But they're not even white. They're European. They're settlers here. White means purity. And when you look at the necessarily record in this country, it hasn't been necessarily pure.
And that's why I feel like the entire concept of race, I know this to be a fact. It's fact. The whole concept, the whole paradigm of race, the idea of it, black, white, that is completely and utterly fabricated. It was created built off of class.
Class always been around. Racism wasn't.
Classism was something that was always potent in history.
Just period.
You can't even you can't. There is no history without class. You know, there is no conflict without class.
Right. Absolutely. Give or take, because you got to have the people that's in the village. You got the people in the castle. Somebody. No matter what word has to be distributed throughout the place, between if it's law, if it's people they're eating a certain way, if whatever the case may be that's governing or sanctioning these particular people. But when it comes to speaking of sanctioning, we dealing with the laws of the land of America. If you don't read that census and not realize that you are not black, because okay, if you keep on black, do you know why? Prime example. In America.
Let me push back a little bit. Just for the simplification, because you mentioned black, right? And you say black essentially is a negative term to refer to our people, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, for people that obviously born and raised in America, our people, right? And that's all we have to grab onto, as far as knowing self. Like, for example, like Black Power. You get what I'm saying? Like Black liberation, right? So I guess what I'm saying is, I don't want to totally write off the term black, even though I know race itself is fabricated, and black in all meanings of the word means something negative. Right. But for our people in this country, it seems like
you're embedded. You're ingrained.
You're so ingrained and ingratiated into this society. This is all you know, right?
You know.
So that's where knowledge of self will come in. And because I always told myself I wanted to do my African ancestry to find out exactly where I come. You know, what's my where my ancestry, maternally and paternally, so on and so forth. But for so many who literally have zero knowledge of self, how do you suggest those people go about discovering self?
Read. Here's the thing, right? In order to, I'm gonna say it like this: back when we was in Saul, I got straight A's in history all the time. You got to study history. History's gonna repeat itself if you don't understand it. There are secret things hidden in history that will tell you who is who, what is what. How do you hide something? Put it in plain sight. I would just suggest people who want to keep reading about Africa, but read about America. Read about America in the 1600s till now. Read about laws that was passed. Read about treaties, laws. Read about things that governs this particular. We're the most spiritual people, so the spiritual part, you're going to find that and connect everything to the Moorish science of America. What brought me wasn't the spirituality. What brought me to the Moorish science of America was knowing that there was something transpired in this land that the Europeans got the power.
Okay.
And during that research, I've shown that that's what happened. You got different treaties from the 1700s, late 1700s to the 1865, when it was basically the end of slavery.
Okay.
You just gotta do your research, bro. That's the biggest thing I tell people. You gotta read and want it. And my thing is, listen, at the end of the day, God will give you desires in your heart. So if you desire to know yourself and truly find it, you're gonna find it. I just desire. That's why I found it.
I'm with you on that. Me personally, I was telling you off air. I want to say for me personally. See, I grew up in the house. See, growing up, my mom, she never. How can I put this? My parents wanted to make sure I was around all different kinds of people, right? So I knew how to move. I knew how to conduct myself. I knew what certain words meant. You get what I'm saying? My mom didn't want any other ethnicity or race having one up on me. You get what I'm saying? Now in my household, race wasn't something that was always talked about. It just wasn't. Because I guess I can't really think for my mom, but just trying to put two and two together, I think she probably looked at it as, y'all getting the experience. It's nothing that need to be discussed. I'm sending y'all to these schools, but we gotta come home every day. Y'all seeing two different worlds. Y'all gotta conduct yourself in both different worlds. She rather us. Oh no, I can show you, but I can tell you.
It's a natural code switch, basically. You already know we acting like the responsible Asiatic family and whatnot. But when you go out there and whatnot, we not acting so ghetto as though when you go out there, you don't know how to act accordingly. You feel what I'm saying? Like,
and I don't want to put it as like she taught me how to turn my blackness down. It's never that.
It's not. It's just a code switch because at the end of the day, it's, for example, shout out to the brother Alexander, USSR guy, Soviet. They just dropped me off because he was asking about my feds. He understood knowing that he's dealing with the Turkish and stuff like this. Are you Turkish? I said no. I'm Moorish American. What is a Moorish American? Moroccans, descendants of Moroccans born in America. We get into that a little later, but it's a beautiful thing that you said that because it's not about you are oppressing yourself for somebody else. The difference is when you had identity or you think of yourself as black. You know, always they say the black man has to work 10 times harder than anybody else. It's not that. He just don't got nationality, and it's not even that. Not everybody grew up the same way, so we don't have the same morality. The biggest problem with our people is just loyalty. Reading and loyalty. Learn to read and learn to be loyal. We would shine like gold.
But they implanted us, not implanted, but they programmed or implanted a certain trait in us to make us divisive.
True, but at the same time, this is when you separate things just through, you gotta desire it. This is the reason why certain people walk through certain doors or certain people, again, before we started the recording one.
But how do we build that desire for our people is what I'm trying to say.
Love. Show love. For example, to give love and not demand it in return. That's number one. Our people who demand it in return. You have to show love and not demand it in return. For example, sometimes my boy, he would promote my CMOS. Like, hey, man, my man got that. I was like, bro, I appreciate the love. He said, yeah, it's always free. Unfortunately, we was always taught that nothing in the world is free. Only thing is free is love. But we wasn't taught how to properly give it. Our women are properly loved. Most women are raising children by themselves. Our men aren't properly shown how to release their masculinity. So when you're not shown different things, or the world is putting your woman here, they putting you there, separating you no matter what. When you got nationality, no matter what, everybody got nationality, women like this. Europeans, I mean, in their culture, they've never really necessarily been really romantic, super with their women, but the Spanish always, Africa, most people with nationality, they don't have necessarily those kind of issues of husband and wife. Now, you got different places or different people where they put the woman at the bottom, but nothing in scriptures do that. That's just man. We was talking about earlier, man getting put in his hand and stuff,
manipulating.
Yeah, just so he can be the guy. But to me, that's just kind of weird and sexist because the woman is the first teacher, and if it wasn't for the woman, the man wouldn't exist. And even by science, why I call it Moorish science of America again. In science, all things, especially dealing with humans, we were women first before we were men. You were a Y chromosome before you became X.
Exactly right. That's your science. You can't.
So in dealing with that, you can't even like what you want to say. So that's really what it is. Love, for example, when you walk around the street, we have to get to a point. I don't care. He can have a gun. How you doing, my brother? You good today? I bid you peace. To tell somebody like, you know what, bro? I don't know who might have told you in the last day, couple years, you maybe never heard. I just want to tell you, bro, I love you. I don't want nothing from you. Have a good day. Just to tell you, brother, I love you don't mean nothing. Love, because we have, for example, a lot of people that's getting PUAs, unemployment checks, this and 30 going crazy, blowing. Bro, this was the opportunity right here. Reason why Trump did this, we're gonna figure out who's gonna become the employees, stay remain employers, or who's gonna become the employees. Who's going to start their businesses and actually change their life, and who's gonna remain a slave. It gave you a chance for all that stuff. I got a problem with Trump. You gotta see what it really doing. You worried about the child's play back when we only, like, you remember me back when you was a kid. I'm worried about, the reason why I'm worried about what you said, because I'm worried about what the next man think if I don't respond to what you said.
Right. Childish.
What? That's childish. Versus, let me eat the meat.
That's literally how our people get in a situation.
Literally.
Wait. What he said? Wait.
What?
Hold on. Come here. What he say? Like, it's so much of that. So much of that.
We stuck in that plight. We have to elevate from that. And the problem is that, for example, you did something earlier. This. You know why I don't do this? I remember I used to throw this. You know why? This is distress. How can you receive something with your hand?
It's not open.
I can give and receive my hand like this. I can give you a dab. We can shake hands.
Yeah.
Boom.
You can exchange energy that way.
And you exchange energy. My hand is open. That's why we always greet people. We go like this. Islam.
I noticed that. I noticed you do this.
Mm-hmm. And this is universal too. When you do this to people, it gets people excited. It's an endearment. It's peace. That's all it is. How you doing? It don't matter what race. You can't even speak their language. You go like this to them, they smile. Hi.
Okay.
It's universal.
I see that.
It's universal language you speaking. So now somebody know, nah, he not aggressive. He go like this. He like, whoa, radical mother, what you trying to
you
do?
ball
What
your
you
fist up.
doing?
What's up? Yeah.
If anything.
That's interesting. I never thought about the symbol for black. I never thought about it like that.
So
It go back. It's just as simple as body language. It's just that simple.
That's it.
When you got your arms closed, you're not open to any sort of new information or conversation.
No.
You're standoffish. You don't come off as welcoming. But if I'm like this, if I sit like this,
Yeah.
I'm like this.
Yes, exactly. He's relaxed.
I look more receptive to whatever you're telling me or doing to me, whatever it may be.
Right.
Wow.
Right. So it's
interesting.
It's simple. That's why again I tell people it's why I call it Moorish science. Belief is what man haps thinks is true. Faith is what man knows is truth. And fruition is man lost in truth. So I can't say I'm lost in truth because a couple of times I fell by climbing. And this is one thing I say about this journey. Regardless of me knowing myself or me wearing my fez and me moving myself, loving myself and loving my people, study yourself takes a lifetime. You always going to study yourself. Your moods is always going to change. Your thoughts is always going to change. The biggest thing is learning how to control your thoughts. You control your thoughts, you control you.
Wow. You know, control.
Mm-hmm.
Controlling our thoughts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And our people.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like we're just on this spiral.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when I say a spiral, it's like we have so many people who are trying to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
You have so many people who are trying to, do as yourself, put out amazing, loving,
Mm-hmm.
receptive energy. And then we have some of us who are so far gone, so lost. You almost lose hope for those people.
Mm-hmm.
How do we build that bridge between, like, within our people, within ourselves? Because there's so many of our people who literally who are at odds just based off a simple belief system.
Mm-hmm.
They're at odds, be it for wherever it may be.
Okay. It says in that in our humanities packet, I believe, or is it humanities or Moorish literature. Everybody needs to profit at one point in time. So in the meantime, between times that somebody finally get that realization, you just show them love and love them where they at. Don't have an opinion about it. Don't get upset. If every time, no matter what, you see me, I got nothing but pure love for you, eventually you're like, dang, man. Like,
You can't help but
you can't resist love because God made us in love. It was us that deviated from the love. Thus, we suffer what we suffer. As long as you got love one more first, you really can't lose. Love is that one energy. That's the placebo effect. Do you know loving yourself and having enough people prayer? It don't matter what kind of disease or cancer, you can actually forgive yourself as long as it ain't the stage 4. By then it's kind of like too late. Your mental, your body's all it's preparing to leave this joint. But yeah, when people get cancer, people get sick, you don't need medicines and stuff like that. People love to be so fascinated with Kemet and the hieroglyphs and all that stuff of Egypt and all that. But you gotta understand, nothing is new under the sun. You just gotta learn to control yourself. They had self-control. You looking at the hieroglyphs in your emoji sign.
yeah.
They was doing that with this though. Thinking, willing, reason. Thought is the cause of it all. It took your thought to accomplish anything that you wanted to do. Took that thought. I'm hungry today. I want this, and third. You thought of that, so you manifested it. Oh, I want to love my people today. This and that third. So you know what? You started to get outside. Just tell you, see some people like, you know what, man, I love you. I don't know who told you that. That's gonna say I love you. Have a good day, man.
It's so hard for a lot. I see it with men more so. It's so hard for our men, man.
That's a problem too.
It's so hard for our men to. And you mentioned something earlier about misused or misapplied aggression or masculinity.
Yeah.
You know, and I mentioned to you before with this podcast, the goal is just to provoke thought, not just amongst people, but amongst our people.
Yes.
So for us to challenge ourselves, invest in ourselves, see the better version, of
absolutely
of ourselves.
Absolutely. This is what, for example, right? What the world has seen and we've mostly seen is what this.
And you get that through love.
Come on.
Not just loving self, but loving others. I can't. This podcast is nothing without me spreading love first and foremost, and ending it with that. Beginning and ending with love.
Facts.
It's nothing without it.
It's like this, for example, when in the temple we go say Islam. Islam means peace. We go in peace, I go out of peace. If it's not about peace, that's what it's. For example, me and you Well, I just know that's not gonna happen because even back when we was in high school, we didn't do that. But me and you had a discrepancy. We argued with the same third. I'm saying, you know what, brother? I bid you peace. Why bring all this negative energy between us?
Just for a disagreement of thought.
Just for a disagreement of thought. You are entitled to your opinion like I am mine. No matter what. Even the twin doesn't have the exact same fingerprint. So so why am I not entitled to a different thought? And if something isn't coagulating, if it's not coming together, then I just bid you peace. And if we can't come to the common goal to build something out of it, then maybe it's just not meant to be at that time.
And that's fine. There's millions and billions of people on this planet.
That's it. So it's just like we gotta learn to, for example, you know, even dealing with the music, you know, everything has a certain vibration.
You know what I think it is? Before you get to that point, I want to get this.
Go ahead.
A lot of our people need to learn how to coexist with resistance. And what I mean by that is resistance to your way of life, your thought. People see others that may walk a certain way, talk a certain way, live a certain way, think a certain thought, and it kills them inside. They don't know how to function in quote unquote chaos, I guess you'll call it.
Right.
They don't know how to function in something that they didn't create themselves.
Yep.
People need to know how to. People need to get comfortable with existing within resistance.
Yes. Because at the end of the day, here's the thing. To camel walk and get what you said, 2020 was the year of that. You resisted the thought that I can go outside and be free, walk where I want to walk, go to the club, spot me some liquor, smoke my little weed or whatever I do normally on my weekends and stuff. Now it's all to a halt. I can't even go to work. And because I even hate the people sometimes in my house, I can go to work just to talk to these mothers right here. I'd be cool. So once all that was saying, so now you got to coexist.
Right.
So now dealing with this coexisting, we brought another thing of resistance because we don't want to add too much resistance. We gave you some relief. Stimulus check. Stimulated your mind. But you didn't do enough self-reflection. So now you're resisting. So now there's no more resistance. You're just coexisting. You resist the thought of knowing that something is wrong. But you coexist to know that in this thought of being wrong, I'm going to make it right. But if I lost the resistance, now I just coexist. Now I'm just like, oh, I'm betting my money. Gucci, Louis, Prada. Bro, you can't even go to the club no more and people still buying Gucci. I'm confused.
Lack of self-awareness.
Exactly. And here's the thing. You ain't really working a hard day in your life. There's people got like 10, 15 bands, 9, 10, 15 bands. They ain't work a day in their life besides maybe like a week. And they got all this money. So the lack of education, because that's how you know somebody really, really black. Like what you did with your money, unemployment, you could have employed yourself forever, just making the right move. They just gave you $7 grand. What you gonna do with $7 grand in your hand? I didn't had 10 grand. I didn't had money in my hand plenty of times. But I said, dang, I get this chance again. I'm definitely not blown. I already got everything already set up. I just need the cash again. I was premature when I had it. I didn't really understand. I didn't have the knowledge that I have now. Now I was just like, all right, well, whoop-de-whoop. And I finally applied for it. Allah willing, I get it. I should get it. I mean, I'm definitely eligible in different ways, but that's here nor there. It's about people that say, listen, do I want to continue to be the person that's not in the know, but just in the midst of I just want to smoke, want to drink, want to have my little girl, want to have my little this and that and the third, I'm just cool, versus actually building a legacy. Our problems, our people, is that we don't have enough of knowledge of stuff to build legacy. Asians, they don't build their legacy. They, my family name, they're so ingrained into that. They understand honor. Our people don't understand honor. Honor is part of loyalty. And what it is that we didn't, or we wasn't shown genuine love. And the only way to undo the DNA structure and the RNA structure that's been put into us and distilled into us through mental thought, because really we're still suffering through post-traumatic slavery, still to this day.
Yeah,
very much so.
Yeah, I call it. People say post-traumatic. People say post-traumatic stress disorder.
Sure, yeah.
I say post-traumatic slave disorder.
Yeah. And it's in our DNA. That's why sometimes
I believe memories transcend generations.
Oh, that's science. That's
that.
actual science. Yeah. So this is the reason why we still had this battle. We've been fighting before the Europeans came. They got worse because they turned us against us. And the way they was beating us, they like, yeah, if you don't do this, you don't do that. They used to have Mandingo fights. Just weirdo fights just make you fight your own people. Then on top of that, they'll molest the man in front of the witness and make him feel less than the man in front of his own wife and children.
They rip the woman right in front of the man. Like,
so you see how much mental wisdom, how you put that into people? So that's why it's so easy for us to sell each other out. Still to this day. People would sell their mom for $1 million. She probably less than $100,000. I'm cool with that.
You ever see those memes where they be like, would you punch this old lady in the mouth for $18 billion or something like that?
Listen.
Or would you do X, Y, and Z for
Yeah, I laughed at the other one the other day. Which one was this little cat? It was like, one girl said, would you slap your mom for $1 million? No, bro. Like, no, bro. Because no, bro. Because that's, why would you compromise respect for something that you can't take in your afterlife?
Like you said, why would you compromise honor? The like thereof, what we don't have.
Yeah,
as a collective.
So out of everything, my bad. Out of everything we need to be looking for or pushing toward is honor. How to be loyal. Put love on board. Forget the money part. Because my thing is, money don't mean nothing if love and honor ain't board. I'm gonna try to take it from you. The reason why other people and other different races and different groups, they got their stuff because they have a common goal. They know what's going on. They don't know what's at stake. The Negro problem or the black problem is like, yo, it's all about me. But people look just like you suffering.
Which goes back to your point about the Black Party and having, we should have see the problem. See like you mentioned, all these other ethnicities, all these other nationalities, the Asians, so Chinese, Japanese, and so on and so forth, and some of the Middle Eastern. Bottom line is, in this country, people have identity, ethnicity, nationality, right? And black people, we don't have that whatsoever. So just not having that, it allows us to establish our own identities. Now we're so consumed with self, and not the self that we've been talking about, but the self that
lovers of yourself, just selfish. You know what I'm saying?
Selfish, right? So at that point, we're not able to have our own banks like the Asians, the Asians do at Fifth and Shellingham. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You going to Shellingham?
They got like 5 different Asian banks, bro.
If you're from Philly, you drive to Shellingham, you see all these different Asian banks, Asian churches,
they
Asian stores.
Own Shellingham.
Right. You can't even go in some of these stores because you don't even know what kind of store it is because it's in their language. You dig what I'm saying? So it's like our people, we can't even access, we don't understand the true power of our dollar. So how can we begin to understand the true power of ourselves?
You dig? Listen, that's why y'all tune in to Tone.
I do my best to just try to unpack my own bias, my own thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, we're all on this journey of we're on this journey of self-acceptance. We're on this journey of self-discovery. We're on this journey for truth. And who knows? Maybe humans, we're not made to know our truth. We're not built to know all truth.
No, I'm gonna say like it's so funny that you even say that, right?
You ever heard the saying you can't handle the truth?
Yeah.
Sometimes I think that's us, cause I don't think as a collective humans wouldn't know what to do.
I'm gonna say like this: it's taking time. We're in a new age where we're in the age of technology. You have to, unfortunately, you can't just tell somebody like you ain't black. You mean you're not black? I'm black. I'm like, so time out. It's gonna take you some time. It's cool. You can be black. It's black people that are millionaires, billionaires, happy marriages, the whole 9 yards. They consider themselves black. If you want to build another Tulsa or Black Wall Street without it get blown up, you gotta have nationality. If you want to build that again and be black, I will guarantee you'll get destroyed. That's what we got to tell you. That's the difference between having nationality and not having. The reason why our people got our things destroyed and nothing happened is because by law, what they did was right. They can do what they want. A slave don't deserve to have all this marvelous schools, all these different banks, supermarkets and stuff like that. You consider yourself black. It's in law. So I'm not being funny or grimy. If you want to call yourself black, cool. I could show you different things to say that would be committing a great sin, but that's between you and God. It's your development. Who am I to say that? But the fact that you're seeking truth, well, I always tell people like this, listen, even you consider yourself black, as long as you live your life according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, you're more anyway. By nature or natural, or moral is somebody who's actually from the land. Yes, it's a group of people dealing with Spain and Sicily and stuff like that and traveling around. Yes, however, it's a multiple meanings to different things. All it means being indigenous of the land. All indigenous people are melanated people of the land. All of them, whenever you look at it. Even how they even project in Asia, they get you the lightest Asian, but they got some very dark Asians look just like us, bro. Sometimes even darker.
Filipinos and the Thai.
Yeah, it's like this. So that means absolutely nothing. It's just about learning to love yourself, love everybody, but especially your brothers and sisters. Your sister is in harm, forsake her not. No, excuse me. Your sister's in harm, assist her. If your brother's in adversity, forsake him not. But we don't do that. We see her sister, oh, she just that. Oh, no, you see how she being mistreated. You know you got a wrong inclination in your body, something wrong, but you don't want to step up because you're worrying about what other people. Now, we just talked about that like 5 minutes ago. What happens when we worrying about what other people are thinking about instead of standing in our square?
You find yourself making decisions not based off your truth.
Exactly. As far as even dealing with your brother, yo, man, love your brother. It's so sad that we are willing to destroy our own brother for selfish gains and stuff. It's like this. It's always been a repeated story through even the stories that they even have the nerve to have it on Netflix. Black films. How much of that really build us into that next level of to people or to even be?
To your point, I was looking in that category, right? It was they had the Black Lives Matter or you know, Black Stories. That's how
Black Stories. That's how they call it.
And I saw one film in there. I'm just thinking because some of it was good content. Some of it was decent.
I mean, some classics. You know, that was a good one.
But I saw this one in there called The Help.
Oh, I remember that one.
I'm gonna be honest with you. When I see black people in a subservient position, I don't want to see the movie.
Right.
So at that point, I didn't even bother to see that film. So I guess what I'm trying to get to is how is that movie telling the black experience? It's telling the black experience through the eyes of a white person, but how is that telling our true black experience? I'm tired of slave movies. I'm tired of subservient positions.
Well, can I tell you why they keep doing that to you? Because in law, you gotta understand what black is. You're not a citizen. Why would I show you something else besides what laws tell me what they are?
You keep going back to your point about having nationality.
A person with nationality, 9 out of 10, even different countries, they have like headdresses. The Fez isn't only just entitled to the Moorish American Muslims over here.
It's called Fez?
It's called the Fez.
Okay.
It's not just here, it's over in Nigeria. They Fez a little different. They joint kind of like a little triangle. They joint lit though. It might not have the
gold trim and all that.
Yeah, that joint be fire like. Yeah, I mean you got the tarbooshes, the Fez. They got different little Fez. Like them joints is fire. But when you wear those men, they be trusted because that's nobility.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like so, I didn't proclaim my nationality. Get this because I'm like, oh, I just want to be like, you know what I mean? Cops can't touch people, can't touch you. No, it's not that because cops will still lock you up if you out here acting like a Negro. You out here yelling. You out here cursing. You out here using profane language, bothering people. You got a Fez on. Nah, bro, they'll lock you up. I don't care about that. It's a certain. You conduct yourself like a true citizen. Dang. European lady come out the store. She in a cane. She crippled. Open the door for here you go, man. Care about that. You're a human at the end of the day. And not even that. When you wear this, the Europeans, especially when they old, they know what this is. They get excited like, oh, yeah. The Moors, no disrespect. It's not radical. This is just facts. The Moors is the reason why Europeans became civilized. You gotta think about what civilized means.
All right, stay there because I want to talk about the history of the Moor, right?
Okay.
Because the first time I heard the term Moor was reading Othello.
I remember Othello.
The Shakespearean play, right?
Yeah.
But what I noticed, and this is all before I'm aware.
Yeah.
What I noticed was the Moor in that narrative was being displayed as threatening, being displayed as hypersexualized, being displayed as untrustworthy. You dig what I'm saying? So just basic, just knowing what I know from just that. The darker brother has always been ostracized, or
absolutely
the darker brother has always been a threat in some capacity to the white man or European culture. Preparing for this conversation, I did my own little research, about the Moor identity as a nationality and it, how it pertains to Islam, just as a faith, ideology and little things like that. And I just want to read some things I got right here real quick, and I want you to stop me when you're like, okay, that's not actually
factual.
Gotcha.
I
I tried to pull from the most unbiased source possible, so I just want to read.
I appreciate you. Go ahead.
Read some what I got right here. So I have in AD 711, a group of North African Muslims led by the Berber general Tariq ibn Ziyad. captured the Iberian Peninsula, which is modern day Spain and Portugal, calling it Al Andalus, I believe. Al, and I'll not pronounce the word.
Where is it?
Right there.
But
essentially,
it's true what it's saying. I can't pronounce it. I ain't even gonna do you. No,
okay. But essentially, what I'm saying is, a group of North African Muslims. They were led by the Berber General Tariq ibn Ziyad, and they captured the Iberian Peninsula, which is Spain and Portugal today. They prosper culturally, prosper economically, educationally, and scientifically. Then Christians begin challenging
Crusades,
Muslim territorial dominance, and they continue to do that for centuries. And this is how we get to 1492, where Muslim power had diminished to a point where Catholic monarchs Ferdinand II and Isabella I had won the Grenada War, and eventually expelling all Moors from Spain.
Now, what you're saying is actually it's bringing, and that history is actually pretty spot on. So the funny part is, and this is my bad. I must know this, but there was a pope in the 61. Something's called bullet. A bullet, when I put something on a bullet, when it's burned and sealed in gold and stuff like that, that's law. Rome has been ruling the world for the last about 800 years, you could say, in the sense 600.
Essentially, the Vatican.
Vatican. That Pope. That's why even in certain parts of Europe they might call him like Blackamoor.
I got that right here too. I was about to say in certain European countries they refer to the black Moor or the darker Moor as a blackamoor, and the fairer skin Moor as a white Moor.
Blackamoor is disrespectful because, like I said, Protestant that means death. So you're saying black Moor.
Okay.
White Moor is saying pure Moor. We can't ever address people as colors. It's by nation. So it's nothing's called.
That's what they mean by that. Okay. And I'm not trying to control because at this point I'm trying to learn, right?
Yeah.
Because I just based off the little research I did, I learned that earlier the term Moor didn't describe one specific ethnicity or race. It didn't describe
it means indigenous. It's not a complexion. It means indigenous.
Word. Okay.
You see?
And I just noticed over time it became increasingly applied to Muslims living in Europe and or used to describe someone with a darker skin.
That's why it took me all the time. Like we Moors, we not black. Listen, they call you black, it means you dead. That's always gonna be the last of the last. Even our ancestors, even in Africa, they're not calling themselves black. When you keep calling yourself that, because they knew the science of that. For example, you know how they say the Black Madonna? And our scripture says a holy ministry in death. The Black Madonna is a deity. She's dead. You're still alive in the flesh. You can't be black. It's your next life. You might be black. You're still in the physical. Physically, no one is black. That's why they call it the Black Madonna. Even in the Vatican, they got it under there because they're praising something that's one, totally opposite of them, but two, you're dealing with a spiritual system. This is how people, they can say like different things. They might say people practicing dark magic and stuff like that. You're dealing with a certain level of, for example, blood. You know why all through scriptures they sacrifice blood, and why blood is like or even Jesus sacrificed, the blood of Jesus, stuff like that. You know why it's so important? Yeah. The blood is the world between physical and spiritual. Blood is the most significant thing here. Okay. So when we keep saying I'm black, you still got blood and you're not black. When things turn black, there's no more. Even a plant when it dies, it shrivels it up. There's no more chlorophyll in it. Cytoplasm is done. It becomes now soil as it dust to dust. It goes right back to where it's supposed to be. So when people be like black, like I said, I don't say it to downplay like, oh no. I love people that got they holy zeal. They want to learn. They ride for their people. They business. They love their mom, their dad, they woman, not cheating on her, not beating on her, taking care of their children, etc. And actually a figure in the community. I just want to let you know, let's not build another Tulsa, identifying ourselves as black, because it will happen again, destroyed.
Okay, so the idea of Black Wall Street is not the problem. It was I guess
they didn't have nationality.
The labeling. Yeah. I guess you'll call it.
You call it Black Wall Street, that's fine. Okay. Black Wall Street, it's not what's describing people. The Black Wall Street was that, yes, in a sense, I guess people, they identify that, but the Wall Street, because still today, the Black Wall Street, they stole it from them, now it's stock exchange. So it's not that. It's
Oh wait, so you're saying Black Wall Street was first, and then they named it
Black Wall Street. Yeah, that's Tulsa. When you talk about Black Wall Street, that's them.
Right. I know Black Wall Street is Tulsa.
Yeah,
I know that.
yeah.
Did Black Wall Street get Wall Street from Wall Street, or like was it vice versa?
Nah, I'm not mistaken.
Wall Street in New York was there first, then they had their own Black Wall Street. You're saying?
Brother, man, that's an excellent question.
Because you know they always taking something from black people.
No, right.
So
right.
like I think that's a fair question. Like was Wall Street first, or was it Black Wall Street and they just took that? You dig what I'm saying?
Hold on, let me see something. You're asking an excellent question. I'm like, hold on, which one? It's looking to be. Let me see. Stock exchange. Let's look at stock exchange.
But like you say, and why you do that, you know,
Yeah.
the biggest thing listening from our people, our community is love, acceptance, understanding.
It's terrible.
It bothers me because love don't cost. Just like the movie, love don't cost a thing.
It don't.
Love don't cost a thing, and it's so easy. It's so easy. When you share love, you lead with love. So many things can come from it, and then when you even approach it just from a position of not wanting to get something in return, love.
Stock exchange wins. They just call it Black Wall Street because the difference is that what it was is that, and then I'm glad I had to refresh my memory. So what it is that when Tulsa was around, Black Wall Street was that the trading that they were doing was international. So they were doing what America was already doing by themselves. They had a problem with that. Like, y'all don't even got nationality. Y'all just doing y'all doing international trade. Y'all tripping. Like y'all over here. Yeah, y'all tripping. Y'all can't be eating like this. You ain't even got nationality. How? That's the reason why they had to make the 14th Amendment for the European. People keep thinking like, oh, like no, bro, that's for them. 13th Amendment, they make you free. It's allow you to vote. We still need votes. You know, they use people inside jails and whatnot, use those as votes, even though they don't vote. These people are still accounted for. So this is how census and stuff like that work. It comes down literally to control of who gets what. Black people, since the beginning of this Constitution, got nothing. Still in this, we've been calling ourselves black for the last 300 years, still getting nothing. That's just what it is at the end of the day. You call yourself something that God never told you that you was. You allowed your people to call yourself, you allow somebody the opposite of what they really are, call you something that they really are, and deemed you under this, or damned you under this, and you just rocking out with them, and you got the Europeans marching with like Black Lives Matter. Bro, when they get home, bro, they got steaks and filet mignons. You go back to your bread, bro, you got your $7,000 check that might last you to a all knows when, hopefully, I mean, you do something with it, but you go back to broke. You go back to food stamp. You go back to Democratic. Or that's another thing, too, they tricked us. Bro, we was never Democrats. We was Republicans. Republicans didn't ask for nothing. We got it.
We spoke about that. I spoke about that on a previous podcast.
Okay.
People forget the whole Republican-Democrat dynamic.
Yeah.
It wasn't how we see it today. It was in reverse.
Come on,
they just
man.
keep and I was talking. Matter of fact, I wasn't talking about that on a podcast. I was talking about it on Facebook with somebody. I was having a casual deliberation with somebody.
Okay.
And essentially, we were just talking about how, like we was talking about how black people or Moors, we need to come up with our own political party to perpetuate and push forward our own agenda, things that can help us.
Absolutely.
So
I got one better for you.
Okay.
Right? Camel walk on that. So it's so funny how everything goes back to the census. It's quite scary. In the Constitution, what classifies as a nation is somebody that is 60,000 people on the same thought. 60,000 in the Constitution to become a nation. Moorish Americans or Moors are lawfully and chartered and recognized by the United States of America. It's in Congress. That's why we can't be Hebrew Israelites. Shoot, Hitler let us know we're the true Jews. I'm not saying that. The problem is that you can't claim something that somebody already took the identity. They got their reparations. You can't tell them Jew, yo, I'm the true Jew. Can I get my money? They're gonna get you like, what? When America dropped the bomb on Japan, Yokoshima, they received reparations. China, everything you look in America, they ain't going there, it says made in China. Then on top of that, in every metropolitan area in America has a Chinatown. So they good.
that's a fact. You even see they got Chinatown, they got Little Italy in some places. You know what I'm saying?
Little Africa, different places.
Little
Haiti, all different places.
Yeah, stuff like that.
But they got a little black.
They ain't got Little Black. You're right.
It's so fudged up how, yo, listen, why are we the only people in the world?
But this is conditioning. Like, Daniel, like, this is something that our people have. This is something that.
No, we aren't.
Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be solved in our lifetime. Unfortunately. I would love for it to be.
You know why I say I beg to differ?
Okay.
Because the COVID, this wrath of God isn't over yet. We're literally in the last book of the Bible. You have to pay attention what events is taking place. Everything in Revelation they talk about is happening literally all in front of your eyes. Forget all the other books right now. We're literally in the last book. And remember, the book does say the first shall be last, the last shall be first. So the original people and people like this, eventually people have to, this is the age of truth. You can't keep lying and stuff. So even if you've been identifying yourself wrong, you're going to find out who you really are. That's why I say I appreciate Trump. Like when he wear his fez, when he wear his John, make America great again, is the reason why it's red for a reason. People know why is John radiation in the Reagan time. Like, nah, bro. President Trump is technically black.
All right, break that down for the people. So I know we mentioned we spoke earlier about black.
He pale, isn't he?
That's true. Based off everything you said earlier, yeah.
He's pale. I won't.
You had some people eat orange, like because of the tan. But
you feel what I'm saying? But it's nonetheless, right? So Trump is technically black. He has to. Everybody in law, they have to stay in law. Do you know why cops? You know, cops is trained to know the difference between black and white. It's not. They're not looking for people about how people identify themselves and certain ways you act with aggression. Oh, he's black. So you asked me one of my experiences, one of the most recent experiences within the last year. 3 young ladies. One young lady was getting beat up. 2 young ladies was jumping and there was a little boy recording. I called the cops because I just don't got time for this craziness and that people just acting all reckless. It's ridiculous. So I called the cops. Cops asking, can you describe the children or whoever's involved? Were they black? Were they white? Were they Hispanic? Well, I said, well, due to what they've done or due to their demonstration, they were black. No, I'm not calling you black. Why would you get so excited to say that to me? Due to how they conducted themselves, they were black. No, I'm not calling you black. Why would you say that?
He said that to you?
Yes.
He said, I'm not calling you black.
Yes. It's interesting, isn't it?
He said that to you?
Yes. I said, yo, due to their demonstration,
due to the way they was conducting themselves,
they were black.
Interesting.
Black means you don't know yourself. Black means you can't control yourself. Black means you're not loyal. Black means that you are.
Say that with some bass. I want to make sure we hear all that. You said black is.
I said, in the eyes of law.
In the eyes of law.
Black isn't loyal. Black isn't faithful. Black isn't a citizen. Black does not matter. So as I said to the cop, when he asked me to describe whether they're black, whether they're white, whether they're Hispanic, due to how they conducted themselves, they were black. No, sir, I'm not calling you black. I reached and I said, I asked like, why would you say that? It's just doing my research. They can't just fully just tell you, like, yo, listen, you know you're not black, right? There's a system that they have to keep control. If everybody wake up, what the freak you think gonna happen? This joint gonna explode. What you mean? Let a European tell you, all right, listen, let all the Europeans that's in power keep it a buck. You know you're not black, right? We just been freaking you up and raping you, stealing on your money, your taxes, exploiting you through music.
So movies. Black and white is not a case of pigmentation, it's a case of status.
Just how world always been.
Because race stems from class, which class stems from status. Racism cannot exist without classism. Classism cannot exist without holding a status. Interesting.
That's how you separate again. That's why no matter what, it's always been the same rate for the last 100 years. The Europeans got the better neighborhoods. Us black people got the worst thing, which you keep putting on the census. Of course you're going to have the worst of the worst neighborhoods. Of course it's going to take you 3 years just to get the big old hole, pothole in your block fixed. Slaves always made it work. That's basically what you're saying. We always going to make it work. We don't need you. We don't really need your help. We don't need your assistance. We just gonna keep taking that food assistance and a little this and that and the third and we cool. No, bro. What about a real loan that can change your family forever? What about real education that's about business and about taxes so you can actually make the wise moves so time you get out of high school you can actually do something?
Yeah, I believe the only reparations black people need to see, because I don't believe it should come in the form of a government check, because we all seen what that did.
Yeah,
stimulus check
they still acting. They still
the stimulus check ain't gonna do nothing for nobody, right?
Nah.
It's gonna be going in a second. We all know the government is capable of dumping money in anything that they see fit. We saw they was able to just dig and find $1.2 trillion somehow to pay everybody, right? But real quick,
No, you're right.
So my point to that is reparations shouldn't come in the form of reparations for black people. I'm sorry, for descendants of Africa, for descendants of slaves.
Okay.
We shouldn't receive reparations in the form of a check. Here you go. Here's $5,000. What we need to receive, it needs to materialize in the form of better education system for us. It needs to materialize in better streets. Give people, if anything, give people the opportunity to get a fair business loan with fair rates. You know what I'm saying? Give us fair access. That's reparations to me. You know, reparations to me is acknowledging the flaws of your thinking. Because let's be totally real. Sometimes we can't blame people. We can only blame the people within the system. Like Nelson Mandela when after apartheid, they had a moment or a time of reconciliation. They realized it wasn't the people who were evil, it was the system that forced them to become evil. A system they had to maneuver in. So at that point,
coexist.
So at that point, he had everybody that was involved in that system, involved in perpetuating that negative system. They had to acknowledge their role. They first had to say who they were, what their job was, and acknowledge their role and everything they've done. And we forgive and we move on. And they had every single person in power. They had every single person do that. That's why it wasn't a crazy amount of bloodshed after apartheid. You would think it would be there, but it wasn't. Nelson Mandela was on something. It's not the people, it's the system. America refuses to acknowledge the system that they built and acknowledge that it's wrong.
They didn't build the system. They're controlling the system. They're holding the system. If I came to settle your place, right? If your ancestors basically said, like, listen, we'll break you off a piece of land, you can do something in the third. In the midst of this, these are the rules of the land. But the people that was basically allowed to stay here follow better than the rules is actually from here. So the people from here lost their privilege to stay here or to be recognized as here. I'm from here, but I'm acting like I'm from somewhere else. How you do that? It's like basically you forgot your morals, you forgot your family, you forgot who you are. Once you forgot who you are, you lost everything. That's why Europeans don't necessarily tell you who you are. You find somebody wearing a fez, you talk to a European, they get excited. It don't matter what country they from. Between America, especially overseas. My man from the SSR, Mr. Alexander, was happy. Then on top of that, he's like, what? You a Republican too? Oh, man. He stopped he kept skipping your block. He just wanted to talk to me. He wanted to talk to me. That's my man right there. I'm like, yo, become a thinker, bro. I do my research.
Yeah.
You go on Kelly Drive, it tells you about the Moorish. You go on Kelly Drive, you start reading the statutes, you talk about how they enslaved us. Dealing with stories about purchases of Pennsylvania things, dealing with William Penn. It will tell you that our Constitution was a Republican form of government. But everybody talking about this Democrat stuff. Don't you know you commit treason to talk about this Democrat stuff? Republican coexist inside with the Constitution. Why? Because every state is entitled to move how they want to move. It's like countries within countries. In Africa, they got multiple republics, like countries within little countries. Everybody rule themselves and govern themselves a certain way. But when you got everybody on a certain type of wave or certain type of move, like, oh, you gotta have this, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, and you enslaving people trying to do all this just to meet this little criteria, versus we are the criteria. That's what Republicans, I am the criteria. Democrat, I'm just trying to make it, Like, what you mean I'm trying to make it? I'm gonna make it. The mentality is different. We've always made it. We had nothing. You make a grain of salt and made a whole meal just out of one pinch of salt.
So what you're saying is essentially, and correct me if I'm wrong, what you're saying is based off of our marriage to the Democratic Party, we've become dependent.
Islam, exactly. And that's a huge problem. That's why everybody hype, oh, my stimulus check. Oh, let me get unemployment. Like, yo, all right, even if you get the unemployment, become a Republican afterwards. Depend on self. Make yourself self-reliant. Stop relying on the government or other people outside of yourself.
But we still have to acknowledge the narrative in this dynamic the government has created for people that look like us.
Yeah.
That has to be acknowledged, right?
I got one better for you right now, but technically, depending on what you do, black people winning right now if you do it, right? It's the first time in history we winning. But because the European has brainwashed you so much, you're going to lose anyway.
And I think that's where that's
the problem.
That's the problem. It's not necessarily
like, bro, we winning, bro. Like,
it's not. It's deeper than just opportunity. There's a programming. There's a mental discrepancy amongst our people.
Right.
And unfortunately, we didn't put it there.
No.
But we're left to pick up the pieces.
Yes. I'm gonna say too. When you got people, let's say like-minded people, right? People are same common goal. You have to link up with more people like that, because the more energy shift for positivity, people that hate want to be on a team too. It's like, yo, it's not enough haters on my team no more. It's nothing but positive people. They over here building and showing love. So you have to popularize love. We have to popularize truth. We have to popularize honesty. We have to popularize upright, independent. Like, I want to be as you know, these young boys say nowadays, we used to say thorough or what's the joint?
Or stand up. Like,
I mean, the young boys say sturdy.
You're sturdy, yeah. That's the joint. You sturdy, yeah.
So sturdy.
I fuck with it.
Yeah, I do like they little joints. Okay, I see y'all modernized, but that joint sturdy. Okay. Yeah. So to be sturdy, people ain't really sturdy. You saying you sturdy, but your movements ain't sturdy. Your deeds not sturdy. You saying, oh, I'm the man, I'm this and the third, but you just keep calling her, you calling your mother's child a baby mother, and you're not really taking care of your children. You got a terrible relationship with your mom. You got a terrible relationship with your family. You got a terrible relationship with yourself. You got a terrible relationship with God.
You angry at everybody.
You angry at everybody? Nah, whoa, slow your roll. Figure out to understand that the problem is you. It ain't nobody else.
I feel like the world could change because everything starts at home.
Absolutely.
I feel like the world will, specifically this country and our people, because what I know, because working where I work, I see a lot of youth being unfortunately brainwashed by people that have been brainwashed, being their parents, and it's sad. It breaks my heart sometimes. Yeah. I'm like, damn, it's a lot of our people that haven't even been given a fair shot.
Yeah.
Dad in jail, mom on drugs, waiting on the 1st and the 15th of the month. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's a lot of us, it's a lot of kids that look like us that haven't even been given a fair shot. So then, like, hearing everything you had to tell me about identity,
right,
self-investment,
right,
the black identity, the moral identity, its principles, faith, how it pertains to Islam, the state of emergency that our people are in, and that this country's in. What's your advice for the people? What's your advice for our people especially? Because I firmly believe this is a time where we're lacking love, empathy, and most importantly, guidance.
I'm just gonna camel walk on the last three things you said. You know, love, guidance, and empathy. Because we got to get to a point. You know, you got to remember the 90s or the early 2000s when we didn't have cell phones in our hands. When we used to have a little Nokia T9 demonstration with just a green screen. Like, we have to go back to where as though that, nah, I can't talk to you right now. It's not 9 o'clock. It ain't the weekend. Because by then, it left suspense and love and room for life, for less hate. When you make things so accessible without having love on the accessibility, you're accessing the wrong things. This generation is definitely microwave. It's instant. And love is something that it's free. However, it is a demonstration that has to be groomed. It has to be prepared. It takes time to really love and understand. So during this time of dismay, learn to love yourself. Learn to think about your thoughts, words, and deeds and figure out, is it behooving you or is it detrimental? I mean, is it good for you? Is it bad for you? And how can you determine yourself what's good and bad? After you've done it, how do it make you feel? Are you proud of yourself? Can you smile at your mother's face? Can you smile in God's face? Can you leave this earth a day tomorrow and say, you know what? Job well done. So you got to ask yourself, dig deep and say, I need to learn how to be proud of myself. First step is loving yourself. First step, the second step is at the end of the day that understand that God and man is one. It's really the first step, but I take the understanding of that. Somebody say with Moorish science as well. And in a sense, it comes from another thing come out of Moorish science, the gods of the earth. They use the acronym arm, leg, arm, and head. 99% of people in the world is born with an arm, a leg, arm, and a head. That's how you spell Allah. You know, God is within you. You know what I mean? When you about to do something wrong, that's why they call it the solar plexus of your soul. When you about to do something, you feel a little negativity in your stomach. So if you know it's not right and you feel that feeling, don't do it. Learn to love yourself so you can learn your brother, so you can learn your neighbor. We won't ever, ever, ever receive reparations to understand what that is, what nationality it is, if we don't understand love. Put love first, figure out what it is, don't get to the cliche definition. And love is more so found in a more so spirituality book, because we can't take nothing with us when we leave besides our memories and whatever, because you know, everything will have its day and you will reap what you sow and things will be judged accordingly. So just making sure, you know, you're doing your research, because don't forget, because before you got here, you had ancestors that fought, that died, that cried, and regardless if you truly understand what it is, but don't let them go in vain. So while you still alive and you still here, figure out why you here. But it's not MySpace, it ain't Facebook. Well, I didn't mean to say MySpace, it's way back. Whoa. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Yeah, I drawed on that one, my bad, y'all. Any of those things, you're not here for that. We gotta go back to the time when there was no cell phone in your hand. We gotta go back to the time when you actually had to trust God, because these cell phones, man, it's so hard to trust God when everything right here. It's so hard to just believe. You know what I'm saying? So, learn to love yourself, learn your brother, learn your neighbor, and this is how we're going to start to come together, because there's too many. Just how now, and I will just to love to skate on this one. We got Nawapian, we got Moors, we got Israelites, we got Nation of Islam, we got all these different sections of us. The same problem was then, it's the same problem now. We just gotta just come together. It's real simple. And even things we're dealing with, people call themselves black and this and that. Well, listen, let's just deal with truth. You can do what you do. You can even practice how you practice, because everybody comes to God in different ceremonies and forms. I'm a Muslim, but I don't practice how they do over in the East. I don't pray on my knees or make salat and go like this and my forehead touch the ground. My 7, all those chocolate parts they talk about, where Jesus fed the multitudes. 5 loaves of bread, 2 fish. 5 to the left, 2 to the right. That's how we pray. We're standing on a square of 45. So, it's the same thing. We just the last people that don't know who we are. So we gotta stand up. And that's the thing. That's how do we take control of our lives in our country? You gotta stand up. What's right? People say, what's right? Well, this is the opposite of right. Look at your neighborhoods. Look what you're doing with checks when you get something. Look what you do. Instead of coming together and let's make a conference and learn to love each other, when, shout out to George Floyd, may Allah be pleased with him. We want to start rioting. Don't you know that these Europeans got insurance?
That's another thing I mentioned. I mentioned the whole business. Like I said,
Love yourself. Oh, see, business. If I make this out,
no, you good.
PUA, FPUA. Get filing unemployment for all those that don't have businesses but would love to make a business, create a business, small business. Religious organizations, to mention in that, that's how you get tax exempt, a lot of different things, nonprofit, different things like that. So you can start your situation out like that. Encourage LLCs, sole proprietorships, and go to SBA.org. You can get yourself a small business loan. Man, start your future off right, man. You know, let's end 2020 off with me and my man. We both 4 eyes. It's the 2020 vision right here. We here.
Man.
We making it work.
Glasses on the logo of the podcast.
You feel me?
You know what I'm saying? So I totally understand, bro. And I'm so grateful that you was able to come on this podcast and just share your energy with me, bro. Just share your knowledge, share your experiences, just share your love, because we all know that come in short supply these days.
Yes, sir.
And I try to really pride this podcast on love, understanding, learning, peace, and knowing self-investment more than anything. Taking accountability for our decisions, taking accountability for the energy we put out there. And this podcast is something that I want everybody to try to dive in and just, you know, give this podcast a fair shake, because I want you, the goal of this podcast is to truly have people access within.
Islam.
Access themselves from within.
Yep.
Everything you need is in there. Everything you need is in there. And it took me going through this quarantine to realize that for myself. I came up with so many excuses for me to not produce a podcast. Oh, the mics don't sound this way. Oh, I gotta pay. I gotta pay this a month to make sure I can still do my edits.
Right.
Oh, I can't get this person to come. Or
Wow.
I came up with so many different reasons, circumstances why I couldn't record. And in all reality, all I needed was my cell phone and my tripod, and I'm goody, and the couch. You know what I'm saying? And that's all I needed. And everything I needed was within me. And that's what I want y'all to realize more than anything from checking this podcast out. Realize that it's all within you. It's all within you. I'm not successful yet. This podcast is nowhere near where I wanted to be, but I'm trying to put in the man hours. I'm trying to put in the time, the effort. I'm trying to put in the faith to really just walk this walk. I'm trying to talk.
Yes, sir.
And it really comes that simple. My brother, I thank you for coming on this podcast. This is Let's Be Honest with Tone the Shields, and this is my humble brother, Daniel Cherry L. Stay humble, stay healthy, and most importantly, stay humble. More love.